and ever since that first day, he has been telling all of us, the doctors, everybody, what he was ready for. It was just amazing. So we called him, we had 2 nicknames for him on the first day of his life. We called him Houdini. And a lot of you who work with Joel know that there was not a seatbelt or a strap or a foot brace or a brace or a foot plate or a tube or anything that could hold him down. He could get out of everything. And we also called him our little director, our conductor, because he loved being in control. He loved calling the shots. And even when we'd be home and we'd have to clean the house, and kind of like a team effort. And we all had our little jobs. And Joel, we always made him the manager. And he loved telling us what to do with a huge smile on his face. So from a very young age, I knew that he had an awareness, and I knew that he understood us. And I mean, even at 6 or 8 weeks old, when we were still in the NICU, I would come in and to the unit, and I would scrub my hands, and I would talk to the nurses, and the nurses would tell me, he's straining to see you. He's looking over to you. He can hear you, and that really warmed my heart. When he was young and we weren't doing therapy, we read a lot. And he loved reading. And I could tell, like when he hit more like 6 or 8 months old, I could tell he was really following, and he was looking at the pictures as I was reading. And if I talked to Dad, John would like look at him expecting an answer. And so he was so expressive, and he always expressed his will, and he talked with his eyes. I could just tell. But I guess I was, I guess my little mommy bubble was burst at 14 months old, because we went to the neurologist, and of course the neurologist told me he was going to be severely physically disabled, but he'd also be severely mentally disabled also. And I knew the physical and the mental. It just the cognitive kind of perplexed me, because it just didn't feel right in my heart. But we pressed on, and we kept doing therapy, and we started showing him pictures of animals. And I would position him where I would say, Joel, where's the horse? And he'd point to the horse. Joel, where's the chicken? And he'd point to the chicken. And then my uncle had suggested that we cover, he's here, we cover the front half of the animal. And, okay, Joel, where's the horse? And before long, he was pointing to the horse's butt. I mean, actually, immediately, the horse. Sorry, sorry. At 16 months old, Jeff said, I'm going to teach him letters. And I said, oh, honey, you know what the experts say. The kids can't understand or identify letters. It's just they don't have it in them to be able to do that till around preschool age. And Jeff's like, I don't care what the experts say. I'm teaching him letters. And within a month, he knew all 16 letters, or all 26 letters. Thank you. I'm so happy that you guys are like. I said to Jeff, is this going to help? This is funny. I hope everybody laughs. And he's like, it's mommy humor. And I'm like, oh, that means it's not funny. I'll try to do it. But within a month, he learned all 26 letters, and we progressed to putting words together. So it was just little words, mommy, daddy, baby. I was pregnant with Josh, and Barney, and books, and things that he loved. And when we went to the 19-month-old visit with the neurologist, Joel blew him away. He was so happy, the neurologist. And at that point, I think Joel really started to love to amaze people. So we got a magnet board, and we started writing words out. We started putting the word from the board, and we always put yes in the lower left-hand corner and right in no in the lower right-hand corner. And that's kind of how our shorthand came around, like, okay, Joel, raise your left hand for yes and your right hand for no. That's where that came from. But teaching Joel to read and spell at such a young age, it was exhilarating, But it was also difficult in a way. If you're a mom and dad, you know that sometimes you have conversations that you don't want your kids to know what you're talking about, so you kind of spell key words. And he started picking up on those key words, and yeah, it was really hard. And two of the words he absolutely hated were mall and shopping. Costco. Oh, yeah. He would, if we spelled those words at 2, he would give it to us the whole day. He would not let it drop. We would take him there, and he would keep it going, and we were like ignoring him because of his behavior, and everybody probably looked at us like we were horrible parents, but but you know, we had these code words, and we were changing the code words, and we had to do, and then he would pick up on that, and then it got really confusing, so we just sorry. But getting back to this communication, he progressed so much with the help of our wonderful friends and Vincent. You guys, I love you. You're our family. But he progressed, and we went to books, and we went to the computer, and he currently has about 1,500 icons on his computer, and he knows where every single one is. We don't know where every single one is, but he does. Oh, God bless him. And he loved to do homework, and he loved learning. He loved just being challenged cognitively, and his teachers have been wonderful helping me do that. And he loved doing homework. We would do 1 to 2 hours of homework a night, and we got right in the middle of algebra. We went through the first 6 chapters of Algebra 1, and I'm convinced he understood it. He probably understood it better than me. God bless him. But he loved math. It was his favorite subject. But I just wanted to tell you a few things about his character, because I think you all know this and you all appreciate it. But one thing about Joel was he never lied, which is good, right? As a parent, you're like, oh, this is really good. Like, you know, this is like, my kid's not going to lie to me. And the poor kids, you know, if they were misbehaving, you know, Joel told the truth. But so you really, as a parent, you want your kids to tell the truth until someone says, Joel, do you like me? Or, Joel, you're really upset. Do you want me to leave? And you're like, as a parent, you're cringing and you're like, oh, please say yes, please say yes, please say yes. You're like looking at that yes hand. Oh, he said yes, yes. But he listened to every word you said, and he never missed a beat. And, you know, if you whispered, he would stop fussing, and he would be quiet, and his breathing would even get quiet so he could hear what you were saying. It was just amazing. And we used to say to him, Joel, you know all the family secrets. When you start talking, no blabbing. Okay, when you get to it, I know you're going to be talking our ear off, and no blabbing. But Joel was also very empathetic. I learned to be a more compassionate and empathetic person by watching my son. And he was so amazing. He would cry when people cried, and he would get upset when the kids were upset, or if the kids were fighting, he would get upset. You know, and if Jeff, you know, picked up the other kids, there was like never any jealousy or envy in him. I mean, if Jeff would pick up the other kids and spin them around or throw them around, I mean, Joel was right there smiling and laughing as if he was having the ride himself. I mean, it was just so amazing. He was so empathetic. And you know, that was his most favorite thing of all was motion. And I think that's one of the reasons he loved those videos, because, you know, I think he loved I mean, of course he loved the praise music, but he loved that feeling of flying, and that makes me car sick, but but we used to call him, my mom always called him our motion kid. He loved spinning, rolling, everything, throwing them around, and we would often play catch with Joel, sometimes with a real ball. Sometimes Joel would be the ball. I love that. Oh my gosh, we used to give people heart attacks in the mall. But he also had an amazing sense of humor, and everybody knows Joel loved a good joke, and our friend Melissa just reminded me, we used to always tell that joke, and we used to always say, Joel, you are such a fun guy, but you're not a mushroom. And we told it 1,000 times, and I know it's a really bad joke, but he laughed every single time. I mean, we probably told it to him, you know, before he passed on. But he loved jokes, and sometimes, I'd be talking, and Joel would start laughing, and I'm like, "Oh, Joel, you are right. That was funny. Thank you. What is wrong with you people?" I would be like, "Joel, you're the only one in this house that laughs at all my jokes. It feels so good. He made me feel so good." Oh my gosh. But anyway, one time we had for a little while, we had a substitute teacher that was not from St. Vincent's. He came in from the outside, and I think he was only with Joel like maybe 3 or 4 days, and he pulled me aside, and he was really serious, and I'm like, okay. He's like, "Mrs. Schutz, I have to talk to you." And I'm like, "Uh-oh." Like, no, what did he do now? Joel really, he understands everything I say. And I'm like, yes, he does. And he's like, no, I mean, he really understands everything I say. Like, I will just be talking to the other teachers, and we're just bantering back and forth, and we're just talking, and it should be going over his head, and he's laughing, and I'm like, no. We're talking about. But he's amazing. I just loved his sense of humor. So the highlight of my day was making him laugh. Absolutely. Best part about my day. But another thing that most of you know about Joel too is he was a typical kid. He loved to wrestle with Dad and his brother and his sister, and he loved a good sword fight with pirate swords or lightsabers. Josh used to get the double lightsaber. It kind of scared me, but I have to say, Jeff, God bless you. You are just the most amazing dad. I have the most wonderful husband in the world. I do. And you were the greatest dad, and you were the greatest dad for Joel. You always made sure that he had such a wonderful, awesome life, and the wrestling with him, and the playing ball, and the hiking him up the mountains on the stroller, and then on your back, and the bike riding, and just the dedication you showed to Joel was so amazing. And when we were biking, I was always behind them, and Joel said he always used to love hearing me say, "Slow down, you're going too fast! No off-roading, please, not today!" And they never listened to me. You just gave Joel such a wonderful life. You were the light of his life, and you are indeed the most amazing person I know. I love you so much. Joel had an awesome life because of you. Anyway. But Joel was a typical kid, and that typical kid matured into a typical teenager. And, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, but you have to hear this story. Okay, he was a typical kid. Joel was a typical kid. And one funny thing from our old house, we had 4 rooms in our old house. It was shaped in an H. So we had a kitchen, we had a long family room, and we had a little hallway and 2 bedrooms. And Josh actually skipped the walking part. He just got up and started running. I see nods. And he would start in the kitchen, and he would go back and forth, zoom, 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 and I'd have Joel on the floor, and we'd be, stretching or massaging or something, and Josh would zoom, 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 with the occasional quote from Homeward Bound, "Watch out, chicken butts, I'm coming through." Pastor Paul loves us. But anyway, so I started noticing, as Josh is zooming by, that the occasional arm would shoot up, or the leg would go out. like, this is not a coincidence. And I asked him one day, Joel, are you trying to trip your brother on purpose? Yes? Okay, so what do you do with that as a parent, right? Because you're like, you told the truth, and you really, like, you know, you really want to tell him, you know what? You really shouldn't do that because it's really not nice, and if you keep doing that, you're going to have to go to timeout. But inside, you're going, yes! Thank you, God! And along that same vein, when he was about maybe 7 years old, our teachers put him in our therapist put him in the scooter on his back, and he was kicking off with the scooter and moving himself, and he found a lot of joy in that, being able to move himself. And I saw him in the hallway for the first time, like really propelling himself on the scooter board, and I was like, wow, that's so cool, Joel. And Nikki, who was probably 2 years old, came up, running up to him, and she starts pushing him in the opposite direction that he wanted to go. And the more she was doing it, the more he was really getting angry, and I'm like, yes, my kids are fighting! Yes, I love it! I know I should be upset, but it's all good. It's all good. Oh, but kids, you guys really made Joel's life so happy, and I never asked them to do things for Joel. They just did it out of their hearts. Like Josh would always, set up a great game of Warhammer for him, and Joel loved playing Warhammer with Josh, and I never asked him to do it. He would just take him down to the Warhammer room or pull a game up, and they'd play, or he'd set up a game of Risk, and not necessarily that Josh liked Risk, but he knew that Joel liked Risk, and so he would organize a big game of Risk, and Nikki would read to Joel almost every night, and I wanted to tell her teachers that on her reading log, there are several books on her log that she read twice, because she would have 2 bookmarks going, one for where she was in the book, and one for where she and Joel were. It was really, and we were going to see a little video a few nights before he passed away, or within a week before he passed away. She just, I didn't tell her, she just jumps up, she's like, Joel, we're going to have a dance party, and he loved doing that, and she would just spin him around, and it was just so amazing. And Amber, since the time she could walk, he'd be in a standard, she would just get balls, and she'd put the balls in his hand, she'd wait for him to drop it, and she would put it in his hand, and wait for him to drop it, and they really played, and it was so beautiful. And I never told her to do that, she just did it. And then the night before he passed away, we had such a wonderful evening, he wanted to stay up, and we were having a great time, and she's on my phone, she knows how to get to YouTube, and she's, I don't know how these kids know if they do it better than me, she can do it better than I can. And she pushes a chair over to his stander, and she gets up on the chair, and she holds the phone in front of Joel's face, and she's like, look, Joel. And my mom was like, has she ever done that before? And I'm like, no, it's the first time I've seen her do that, but she just, you kids made sure that Joel had a wonderful life too, and I know he loved you very much. But this typical kid turned into a typical teenager, and one time I was wheeling him into class, and I'm talking to the teacher, and Joel is looking up at me like, and I'm like, oh, Joel, am I talking too much? Yes. I'm like, oh, great. Am I embarrassing you? Yes. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Do you believe? Yes. Okay. He's a teenager. In fact, when we had our hospitalization over Christmas time, the nurse was helping me get him out of bed and get him into his chair because he was oxygenating better in his chair. And he was not having it. We put him in his chair, and he was fussing and complaining. And I said to the nurse, I'm like, I don't know, I'm not a professional, but it just seems to me that if you have pneumonia and you're crying and yelling, that would increase the airflow in the lungs, and that would be really good for you. And the nurse said, oh, yes, we always tell all the moms that have kids with pneumonia, let them cry. Immediately, silence. He is a teenager. Yes. He is a teenager. But Joel's story would not be complete without illustrating what a diehard Giants fan he was. I mean, he would really cry, literally cry when they missed the playoffs. We hated, we suffered with him all those come from ahead defeats. But several years ago, when the Giants made it to the playoffs, they made it, and they made it to the Super Bowl, and it was so wonderful. And that was the year that Team Jeff and Jeff, Jay and JJ, Dad and Joel were on the same team for my family's Super Bowl. My family's football pool. It's a big extended family, coast to coast, and they were ahead. They were in the lead. And Joel, he just had to pick the winner, and then he'd get that pot. And he wanted to take the Giants. And we're like, Joel, Joel, Patriots are favored. All the experts are taking the Patriots. They do this for a living. I don't know what they're talking about. Maybe we should listen to the experts. No. Okay, you want to take the Giants? Yes, but really, Brady wants his 4th ring, and the more we pushed it, the more upset he got. And we were like, okay, that's okay, Joel. And Dad even said, he said, okay, Joel, we will take the Giants, and we will go down together. Because it's a good lesson to learn. We all need to learn to be a gracious loser, and we'll be good sports. But we all know the end of that story. Of course, the Giants pulled it off. Yay! Joel won the pool. Yay! Josh's Patriots lost. He cried for 2 weeks. It's always like that in my house. It's like one's excited and one is not. But we just had the most wonderful experience. One of our friends gave us an amazing experience. He gave us tickets to see the Giants, and Joel had never been to a game before. And we had awesome seats, and we had such a wonderful time. Joel loved every minute of it, and we are so grateful. It made him so happy, and we're so grateful for that special memory with him, and we'll treasure it forever. Thank you so much. And there's no doubt that Joel is with Jesus right now. When he was 4 years old, we were on our way to a doctor's appointment, Jeff and I, and we were talking in the car about how old do kids have to be to have an awareness of God, and how are we going to know when Joel has a relationship with God? Because we never wanted to push God on him, because we knew that God had to put the faith in his heart and had to come through. But with Joel being so limited in his abilities, we just weren't sure how we were going to know. And as we're talking, Joel's getting upset. He's getting mad, and we're like, oh, buddy, what's wrong? Do you have something to tell us? Yes. Oh, okay. Did you want to talk about God? Yes. Oh, okay. So, do you love God? Yes. Oh. Do you know that God loves you? Yes. Oh, okay, that's so good. And we kind of asked some questions about, well, do you understand that, because we're not perfect, we can't really be with God because God is perfect, and He requires perfection in His presence. But that's why that's why He sent His Son Jesus to live a perfect life and to die on the cross in our place, to take on that punishment. And we're asking him these questions, and he's like, yes. And we're like, wow, so did you ask Jesus to forgive your sins and come into your life and make you the kind of person He wants you to be? And Joel said, yes. And we're like, okay, well, that answered that question. Oh, praise the Lord. But it was amazing. But he loved to talk about God, and he loved to read the Bible, and he loved to learn about how much God loved him. And he loved going to church, and in fact, 2 Thanksgivings ago, our classroom did a school project, and we made a craft, and on the craft we were supposed to, the kids indicated what they were thankful for, and Joel, on his craft he was thankful for his teachers, for Grammy, the pool, and Pastor Paul. Oh, so great. But Joel loved talking about heaven, and we used to talk about heaven a lot, and just like, things that we were going to do in heaven, and we just different variations on it. But a lot of times we would always say, "Oh, Joel, you're going to be the quarterback of our football team," because he loved football and he loved being the director, so quarterback, yep. And lately we've been saying, "And we're going to take on Eli. And you know what? Yeah, he might have Cruz and Beckham, but you got Mom and Dad. We're going to get him." He loved it, smiled, laughed. He was like, "Yes, yes, yes." And we always said, "And you're going to eat at the wedding feast of the Lamb, and I cannot wait to see you eat your first meal." And Jeff had mentioned to me on the weekend,